Welcome back, everybody. We are here at the Sun is Coming podcast, and I'm stoked to have some friends with us all the way from Atlanta. Worship sound guy in 2.
Do we call you the worship sound guys?
You know,
or
we're trying to be grammatically correct,
right? Yeah,
legally correct.
We are the guys. Yeah.
I actually was surprised when I learned that the worship sound guy count is not a singular guy. Like I pictured
I also
a guy.
I also did not know that.
Yeah. It was me for a long time when it was kind of like more of like a meme account, and then we started realizing like, oh, like
we need to make serious grown-up adult content.
Yeah, serious grown-up adult stuff. Yeah.
Did it start as meme content?
It did. Yeah. It was. It actually started like in the auditorium of my home church. It was back like when Twitter was a thing. Yeah. And like meme accounts were just like blowing up, and my buddy was like, "You should make like a worship sound guy account and talk about the crazy stuff that happens in the church production world." I was like, "Oh, okay,
That is so funny.
yeah." So that's how it started.
Amazing.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm stoked you guys are here. Lots of fun things to talk about. We as a podcast have been looking for people like you guys to bring on and just have conversations about the churches you guys are at, your ministry history, where you guys came from, how in the world Worship Sound Guy got started, all of those things, and kind of going from there. But starting off, like, tell, for people who may not know who you are and what you guys do, just share like a brief kind of intro of who you are so people can get a sense of what that looks like.
Yeah, sure. Matt, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Matt. I'm the other half of worship
You're the
sound
second
guy.
worship sound guy.
I'm the second worship sound guy.
He's a monitor
later
guy.
I'm the monitor guy. Yeah, let's be honest. I also am on staff at a church in Atlanta called Northland Church, and I think Johnny and I. What year did we meet? It was
it was forever.
like
20
2013,
years ago?
maybe
Yeah,
2012, 2013. We met. I think at the time we were both doing freelance audio stuff, just helping churches in the Atlanta area. And so for me, my journey, I moved out. I used to live in Houston and moved out with my family. My dad actually took a job at the church that I'm at now.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so that's kind of what brought me out here. And I was just freelance audio for years, doing a lot of the festivals around Atlanta, just corporate AV stuff, the non-glamorous side of audio that nobody talks about because it sucks.
Push 2 faders and a breakout.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
That's it.
How many headsets do you feel like ringing out today? But yeah, so I was doing that for years, and the church my dad was at was kind of home church, and so I'd volunteer there, mixing front of house, and then contract around other churches to kind of get the bills paid. And then after several years, my home church was like, "Hey, we actually have some budget. We would love to have you more often if you're willing." And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to serve here." At the time, the church was maybe 75 people, and so they were starting to grow, and they were like, "Hey, we'd actually really love to start upping our production quality and all that." So started being there like twice a month, and then just gradually went to part-time production director, came on staff as one of their first part-time hires, and then now I've been full-time creative director for like 4 years.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So my story is a little more linear than that. I've been at the same church for like 15 years now. It's Stone Creek Church, just a little bit north of Atlanta. And it's actually kind of the church I grew up at. I started there, I was playing guitar and was not awesome at guitar when they let me like join the youth band or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a musician. And then that quickly turned into like, oh, I think I want to like produce and mix bands like in the studio, and went to college for that at Art Institute of Atlanta, and was like dead set on like, I'm going to open a studio, I'm going to mix bands, like do all that kind of stuff. And then the guy who's the tech director at Stone Creek was like, hey, I know you're, into the studio thing. Have you ever thought about mixing live? And I was like, not really, but like, I'll try that. And like immediately just loved it and have never looked back. It's just like, I don't know, there's something about like just being in the moment, like being there, like live as stuff is happening. It's just like so special.
That's awesome.
So
when did you transition to actually doing that as a staff person?
Yeah, so I right after I kind of started mixing live, this tech director who's awesome, Matt Brogdon, shout out. He was like, "Hey, do you want to like be an intern?" Basically, I was like, "Yes, absolutely, I'll do it." And so I was an intern for a couple of years, and then came on staff. He transitioned to a different role, and I kind of stepped into like that tech director position.
Nice.
So
That's awesome. Basically, that trajectory is one we hear so often on
Really?
this podcast about people getting into production because they started playing guitar.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do studio stuff,
Yeah.
record,
Yeah.
whatever. And then they realize, I mean, for me, my journey was similar, except for I realized like I'm not really good enough at music to like actually do something professionally. So like maybe I should look at this technology side of things. So, but yeah, it's cool how churches create that sort of platform for people to learn and try things, and
Yeah.
get exposure to things,
Yeah.
and grow.
Yeah, it's literally identical for me.
Yeah.
Started playing guitar, and I think it was like one of the front of house guys like didn't show up on a Sunday morning. And they're
Yeah.
like, "You're not very important on stage."
We actually were hoping you would quit.
seem like you
Wait,
could-
so let's get you out of there.
I was like, "Oh, cool, sounds
Yeah,
good."
wow, there's a lot of
And-
buttons and knobs on this thing.
Oh man.
Can you twist a knob?
But it's so funny though, like the saying, going from studio to live. Like I remember, like very similarly, like I love doing studio, but then as soon as I started doing live, realizing like, wait, I don't have to like redo these takes 1,000 different times. Like we just like, what mistake? I don't know. That was 2 choruses ago. Like I have no idea. I'm just going. And so not having to think about it. And it's very, very fun.
Yeah, but now they do live records, Caleb. So you have to kind
It's
of.
okay. We just overdub it after.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they live though?
Someone else has to do that, not you.
That's exactly right.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome, man. So 15 years at one spot is a very long time.
Yeah.
We've had that with, a handful of guests, and it's always amazing to me. I don't know what the timeline is, but once you cross like that 8-year mark, like that's a long haul in a specific place. I think specifically like in ministry context when we see so much like turnover all the time and people moving around. What has that 15 years like looked like for you and just your growth as a person and as a leader? And
Tell us about all the times you thought you wanted to quit.
Yeah. there have been a few. I mean, I think like going into it, like, I mean, just to be honest, like I didn't know anything. It's kind of like the Dunning-Kruger effect thing of like, I didn't even know what I didn't know. And so I was like, oh yeah, I can do all these things. And like really quickly found out that I could not. But yeah, I feel like, it's taken me all this time just to get proficient at stuff. So yeah, it kind of like for me, I think being in ministry for that long, it's hard. Like there are a lot of, potential like burnout points and stuff. You talk about like the kind of 8-year sort of thing. I think there are a lot of those spots where like you just kind of naturally, hit a wall and like you're like, man, I've been doing this for so long. I'm tired. It's a lot of early mornings, a lot of long days. And I think for me, it's like kind of thinking about like, what is like the reason behind what I'm doing? Like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Like, what am I a part of that I'm passionate about? And fortunately at Stone Creek, we've gotten to experience some really cool growth over those years. And so it's always like felt dynamic and interesting, exciting. It's like that for me has been like a driver. The other thing for me, I think, is like figuring out ways to like, I'd say like honestly, like pastor creatively. And for me, like as long as I'm getting like create something and like be a part of something creative, like that really like sustains me. And so I think like kind of bringing that together with faith has, I don't know, it's just like a unique place to be. And for me, like that's been really fulfilling. So yeah, there have been plenty of times where it's like, man, I can't do this anymore. But it always kind of comes back to like that, like, no, but I get to create something like every Sunday that's really special.
Yeah. What's the team sort of makeup look like in your context for production creative?
Yeah. So for a long time, up until about 6 months ago, it was just me.
Wow.
Which is a
You're
lot.
the lone production director.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's
so,
crazy.
Yeah.
Is that the role that you started in when you came on?
Yeah. So tech director was like technically what it was,
Yep.
but yeah, it's essentially been the same role the whole time.
Got it.
So overseeing audio, video, lighting, everything, all the volunteer teams as that has grown. So I think we're up to like probably 30-ish people on the team now, which is it's a lot of people to manage for sure. But yeah, it's being this solo person out for a long time. It makes you get creative with the way that you like train people, the way that you like develop a team like that, the way you have to run Sundays when you can't clone yourself. I keep like making the joke of like, I keep trying to clone myself and it hasn't worked yet. So figure that out one day.
It'll
But
just be some Tesla autonomous robots,
Right.
just running Pro Presenter.
yeah, I just download myself in a robot. I don't know. But yeah, so that. So up until about 6 months ago, we hired a dedicated production director for our main campus, and so we're working together on that now, and that's been great.
That's
So,
awesome.
But that's a long time to do it alone.
That's a long time to do alone. Yeah,
That's crazy,
for sure.
man.
Yeah, and multiple campuses.
Yeah, so we have launched. So we have one church campus that we launched called Elevate City that has become an autonomous church now, which is awesome. And then we have another campus that's about 20 minutes away from us. We just launched this past December.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so, kind of turning back towards your work as worship sound guy, how did you guys meet, and what was that relationship like that eventually led to you being like, hey, we should work on this Instagram account together?
Yeah. Well, we both kind of had the same idea at the same time.
We
I
really
think.
did.
Yeah.
Like I literally remember we went to a Starbucks and I had gone in. So I was starting, like we knew each other and we had
Yeah.
contracted together. And I knew he ran the Worship Sound Guy Twitter account. It might have been an Instagram already at that point.
Yeah.
But I think at that point it was very like, it was like faceless. So it was like
Yeah.
nobody knew
Yeah.
that it was
Yeah, yeah,
Johnny.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
everyone was like, who is Worship Sound?
Yeah,
Like, who
yeah.
is- you know, and so it was like, I know who it is. I know him. No, but we both started working on content like the same time. And so I was getting ready to launch something on my own, and I didn't have any followers, I didn't have any platform. So I was kind of had the struggle of like, cool, I want to help churches that are, especially the church I was at was small, and so it was like, hey, I am my target market right now.
right.
Like I want to create something that'll help people in this situation. And so I had reached out to Johnny because I was like, dude, he's got this huge following. And at the time, I didn't know you were working on it. And I was like, this would be perfect to like start, training church teams. And so we like set up a meeting at a Starbucks, and it's like, hey, so I want to talk about something. He's like, that's crazy because I want to talk to you about something. And so just like timing wise worked out. And we were like friends at the time, but I feel like when we kind of decided, we're like, hey, we should just go in on this together and put our heads together. It really took off.
Yeah.
We had a blast.
Yeah, I think from my perspective on it, like we, I was like lots of memes, funny content, like, production stuff. And I kept getting all these DMs that were like, hey, like that was a funny post. But, like, actually, I'm dealing with this like real issue.
Right.
Do you have any advice for me on
Right,
like this real thing? And I just got like more and more and more.
You
of
said,
those.
no, dude, we have to laugh about it. So
Yeah,
don't cry.
Exactly.
That's all I got.
So you don't cry.
This is my contribution. I was very like, I was like, I don't know if I can really help somebody
Right.
like this, but I started like kind of answering those DMs as best I could, and just trying to be like, hey, like I maybe have a little experience there, like maybe I'm one step farther down the process than this person who's asking the questions. So, like, okay, I can tell them what I know, and eventually I was like, man, I really I love teaching people. And that's like, Matt and I kind of both had this idea of like, what if we did like a course or like something? We kind of, I don't think we exactly knew what we wanted to do, but we both had this like, felt this like calling of like, hey, we need to like help churches who like just don't have many resources to learn this stuff.
Yeah. Because the typical, you've got a volunteer who like works in IT or something. He's like, sure, I could probably figure it out. And it was like in 2016 when we were having this conversation, it was like there really wasn't. I mean, you can find some stuff on YouTube at that point, but there was nowhere that you could send someone to go, hey, go learn from here. The closest thing was like, you could go to college for recording technology, but it's like, again, these people working a 9 to 5 and they don't know what they're doing. So it's like, how do we put resources in their hands that make them feel like I can approach this confidently and know what the heck I'm doing?
So you guys had that conversation in 2016.
We did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Coming up on
So 10 years this year.
Yeah.
We were
That is
literally talking about it last
Yep.
night.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
So as you look back over the last 10 years and think about like what it's become and what you were talking about in that Starbucks, like what has it, I mean, obviously it's a long time to cover, so don't feel like you have to recap everything. But like, what has surprised you, I guess, about the journey? Did it kind of develop in the direction that you guys envisioned in that conversation, or has it totally gone in an unexpected way?
That's a good question.
It is a good question. I think, honestly, to me, like it's crazy how much it's resonated with people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there was like an even bigger need than we thought, and I think it's just like, to me, it's like two things stand out are like, how much people have wanted it and how awesome this community is.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool to me to be able to like give back to a community that is so awesome and like so many good people in it. Like we've met so many awesome people through this, and like it's like mind-boggling to me, the amount of people who, you know, we've connected with and gotten to build a relationship with, just because of this like random idea we had in a Starbucks.
Yeah. It's cool. Every once in a while, we'll get an email or a DM from someone who, like a lot of the churches that we've focused on creating content for are the smaller, like, you know, kind of not explicitly, but 500 member and less. Just that, like, it's probably all volunteer. Maybe they have a staff person. Maybe the staff person is one person running everything, you know. And like, we'll get a DM or an email sometimes from like Betsy at such and such church, and she's just like, hey, thank you so much. Like, I never, like, we always had this issue. I watched your video on this, and like, I had 3 people come up to me Sunday asking what, you know, just like these really cool, just like heartfelt stories that make it, we're like, dang, okay, it's working. Like, we're actually helping people.
That's cool.
Well, it's so interesting because, like, you think about it when, I mean, just about all of us went into ministry at a very like similar time period, and like, you think of, you know, early 2010s, you know, late, you know, 2000s, like just the resources that were out there. It was nothing. It was literally nothing. There was, you know, church tech roundtables that were being hosted with guys like Dennis Joy and Jeff Vandergeest and Todd Elliott when he was, you know, at Willow. But that was it. And that was the, you know, biggest part of the community that was out there. And so to be able to have a YouTube or whatever, you know, whether it's a course or a podcast or whatever, that just helps these young dudes that we all were at one point, not knowing, you know, how to lead in ministry and or do production really well in a church that, you know, technology changes like crazy. And so it's cool to see that. And it always surprises me, like the need, because you're like, oh, it might come so naturally to any of us, but like, the things that we think about or the things that we do on a daily basis in our churches, we're like, oh, that maybe, like, there's a lot of people that don't know how to do this well, especially that like Lone Ranger position, which I think is awesome. Just I think in your guys' seat, like living in that all the time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was us. I'm like, man, I wish I'd had somebody to come alongside me and like really show me like what to do with all this stuff.
Well, you mentioned a minute ago, as you've kind of been doing this for a while now and being surprised that there's so much need and hunger for that. Like, I'd be curious in the interactions that you have or in, you know, the content that you see really actually resonating or connecting, like what are some of the trends right now that you're seeing as the areas that people are looking for help the most or struggling with the most and you kind of see coming up across lots of different contexts and church sizes and things like that?
I mean, I'll jump, this is like not a super technical answer, but this kind of ties into what you're saying, but like kind of what has surprised us about the journey is I feel like you mentioned like getting into ministry. And I think that when I got in audio, like I was not thinking ministry. I was not, I'm like, I'm not getting into ministry. I don't want to be on staff at a church. That was my journey. And so it wasn't ministry and what I was doing were not connected. It was adjacent, but not like, I'm not ministering to people. That was kind of my perspective going in. And I think that what we found over the past several years doing this, like, not to jump ahead too much, but we've produced courses, we've done plenty of technical content, but we've really kind of doubled down on the community aspect. And I think that there's been this this feeling of loneliness in the tech booth, and that we feel like everyone, like what you're saying, feel like, hey, I'm kind of on an island by myself. Like, is anybody else? Can anybody else relate? Can anybody else? And so, like, obviously, there's all the typical technical issues, but it feels like we've seen this consistent theme of people just feeling alone and feeling isolated, especially in our production circle. And so, I think that's been one of the most surprising things that have come out of it for us is actually having a chance to realize, like, oh, hey, we actually are in ministry, and we actually are there people on our teams and volunteers on our teams that like this is their only, like, I've got several volunteers coming to mind right now. It's like, man, if it wasn't for the production community at our church, like they haven't necessarily connected with other spots of the church, but this is like we're their people, like this is it, you know. And so I think that's been really special, and I would say at least for me was unexpected. You go and thinking, cool, I'm going to teach people how to run sound, you know, not teach people like, hey, you have worth and value aside from how perfect your mix is. You have, you know, just those type of things. I think we've had the privilege to get to speak into some of that for people, and that's been really cool.
I think for sure, and like even like being like we both were like kind of lone rangers, like just it's such a weird thing to imagine that, you know, it's like you're maybe on staff at a church or you're volunteering and like you're the only person doing this thing at this church. And it's like you've got, you know, there's almost no other position at a church on staff where it's like you're the only person in that ministry area. And so it is kind of unique in a way of like just the setup for like potential isolation that lives there. And like, we gotta fix that.
Yeah. Especially because no one else, when it comes to technical, like no one else really gets what you do.
Yeah.
So they're like, cool. I mean, believe you. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
What have you found in those conversations that that is the most beneficial in helping to improve that experience, right? Make them feel less isolated, make people feel like they have more community. Like, how are you guys addressing that as you think about the kind of content you're creating going forward?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it starts like every piece of like content that we create, like every kind of dialogue that we hope to have, whether it's something on social media or a podcast or YouTube, like whatever. I'm always looking for like good conversation to come out of it. Like hopefully leaving people with a question that they can engage with, just something to like, somebody leaves a comment and then another person's like, oh yeah, I agree with that. I'm like, oh, I hope these people connect, just like even as simple as that, just trying to get people to like talk about the same thing, have this shared experience, and then hopefully, maybe take that in the real world. Like that, that's like my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
I think,
Okay.
yeah, I think often about like my first church experience where I was a Lone Ranger and I was in St. Louis. And I was surrounded with a bunch of other very large churches that I, as I don't know how old I was, 22-year-old, like I didn't know what I didn't know, very similar to what you guys were saying earlier. And because of that, there was like this skepticism of if I don't feel like I'm smart enough to be in the seat that I'm at sometimes right now, I don't want to like go out and like the awkwardness of like trying to go to these other bigger churches than me with more staff and more gear or whatever that looks like, just to go, hey, can I just like, can you show me around? Show me how you guys are doing things. And like, I think the beauty of what you guys have been able to be a part of is building a community that is more open, and it's not like this, I gotta like call the dude down the street and he doesn't know me. Hey, I'm the production director at the blank church down the street. Can I come and check out your stuff? Because it's it can feel like a show and tell, and whoever's got the coolest stuff.
Yeah, it can be so intimidating too.
Very intimidating. Yes.
Yeah.
And so just the ability to have that world open up and have, like, I think of that in Chicagoland, and after we came up here, and just like, I mean, you were, I don't know if you were in the circles of all of even the church production Slack channel that we made, but like so much community and like actual like friendships that like I have made, and it's like, we all know it's very hard to make friends as an adult.
Sure.
And to be able to do that and build a community like that, I think that is what keeps people in ministry longer. And keeps them being able to go from walking out the door because they're like, I don't have anybody else to bounce these ideas off of when things are going rough, or I just had a brutal Easter or whatever that is, walking into the next season. So that's cool.
Definitely.
So as you guys are, as you guys have progressed in what that community looks like, the courses, all of that stuff, like, where are things at today? Like, where do you see you guys today versus maybe where you were? And is the trajectory the same? Is it still pushing towards that community? Are there specific areas of, training or something like that you guys have felt like come up more now, let's say in the last 3 or 4 years, even post-COVID? Because I think of this often where like the people that are on staff in so many churches today in production seat, a lot of them weren't on staff during COVID.
Yeah.
And it's like this two separate groups of people. So I just wondered, like, as you guys are going through this now and have been doing it for going on 10 years, like, where's the trajectory going now that you guys see? Maybe it's the same, maybe it's not, for some of the content and or like just direction you guys are going as an organization.
Yeah.
Go
for it.
Okay. I would say honestly, it's the same. I think COVID is an interesting like kind of delineation marker, like inflection point for that. Because it's like those of us who have PTSD from getting through COVID and just making it work, and like the people who are like maybe newer and like don't have that experience, thank goodness they don't. But I think for us, like, we're kind of like just doubling down on that like same direction, like community. Like we're trying to help the people who feel like they're alone, trying to help the people who don't maybe have like other resources or people to teach them. Because I think there are a lot of like like maybe in like a larger church where there is like an actual like production like staff. It's like cool, like those guys got it, like they're awesome, and they don't need somebody to come along and teach them a different way to do stuff. Like they've got processes and all that kind of stuff. So we're kind of looking for the people who need that community, like who wish that they had more input from other church audio techs specifically. And just kind of finding those people and connecting with them and connecting them with each other, I think is like the biggest thing.
That's awesome.
I think it really, like, the cool thing is, even just talking, like, it kind of feels like we're in the golden age of like church production right now. Like the amount of community that's present in our broader church production community is awesome right now. Like I love having conversations like this. There's tons of podcasts out there. There's tons of content now you can get on YouTube. And like, so I think like when we first started Worship Sound Guy, we were like, content, we're going to teach people. And now it's like, hey, that's actually like, yes, we can teach it. And we like to, like, I think for us, we kind of double down on, instead of just putting a bunch of content out there and be like, hey, have at it, kind of a buffet. It's more like, hey, what are you trying to learn? Great. Let us take you by the hand and take you from point A to point B. It's kind of the approach we take with a lot of our like instructional content. But I think just doubling down on the community aspect, because the more and more we get into it, the more it's like, hey, yeah, I can look up a YouTube video on how to EQ a kick drum, whatever.
Totally.
But like what people really are needing is that like, hey, I want to bounce ideas. I want to have a conversation around this, or like I'm having this issue with like my pastor and I don't know how do I have this conversation, and being able, like when you're in that, it can feel like, oh, nobody relates, or like this is my unique. And when you start to network and like talk to other people, you go, oh, actually, this is a really common experience. Like how collectively can we deal with this,
Yeah. Just trying to get people to talk about it. I think like that's one of the biggest lessons I think that we've learned is like people need to talk to each other more and communicate better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we can help with that. That's amazing. We'll get so many like emails and DMs and stuff where it's like, I'm just having this problem with the worship leader and like I can't get him to, hold his mic the right way or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, have you like talked to him about it? No. Okay, well,
You should start there.
You're gonna have to talk to him about it if you want him to change it. Like, even just like trying to facilitate stuff like that, I think is much needed.
Yeah, I think that relates to a lot of people that are listening. I'd be curious, as you guys think about it's a lot of people say that community is important, and a lot of people name the fact that people can feel isolated in these kind of ministry roles. So what's your coaching on like actually do something, right? Like you mentioned communication as a key thing.
Yeah.
Obviously that's huge and can express itself in a lot of different ways. But if you were to say, hey, here's like, if you're feeling that way today, you're feeling a little bit isolated, you're feeling like you don't have someone to talk to, you're feeling like you need more support, like do these 3 things and it'll get you going in the right direction.
Okay, I'll start with number 1, easy one. Team building.
Okay.
Like you got to build a team around, like you can't just be the only one doing it. I know that because I've tried it and it doesn't work. Like you have to, like whether it's volunteer or whatever, find some people who have just a little bit of interest in doing something technical and just bring them alongside of you. And like it's not easy. It's not quick necessarily, but if you can find somebody who is willing to go there with you, who you can like multiply yourself into, like replicate yourself, then you've got another person like that. Then you've created that thing that you needed. So, hopefully for us, like there's, we can give you some tools to like help do that, like train another person. But yeah, I think like, if you can just get anybody, like just get somebody in the booth with you, man. Like way too many people just like literally doing it all themselves and then wondering why they feel alone. It's like, hey, just get somebody else in there with you and like, train them up, get them alongside you, make a friend who you can be there with.
Have some food.
Have some food.
If you can get a lot of people to show up if you like have food.
Yeah. I mean,
Pizza
okay,
is
here's
amazing.
number 2 for me is like in tandem with that, do something outside of church together. Like go play golf, play pickleball, go share a meal, go like build. I like at Northland's, our worship team, we talk about like relationship isn't built on the stage, it's enjoyed on the stage. And so we're like, we have to go invest in each other and cultivate a friendship outside of serving together. Like that's not, like it can be built there, but that's not the primary. And so I would say like, man, if you're alone and you're like, hey, it's just me, look for opportunities outside of serving to build that relationship. And we actually, last month we did a workshop in our Worship Sound Guy Central community where we talked about team building. And one of the things actually Johnny's wife brought up, she leads a lot of their volunteer teams at other campus, but she talked about like, man, if you have friends that are not like, start with your friends. If you need help, like be like, hey, how would you learn this? Or like, I just need some help, because then you already have relational equity to kind of pull on, and then you get to do it with your friends. So even if you know people who maybe are 0% involved, to be like, hey, would you consider getting involved to both to help me out, but also like, then it becomes fun because then you're serving with your friends. And even if you're doing hard things, when you're doing it with friends, it's better, you know?
For sure. And then like on top of that, it's like I've got like story after story, like just from like my own time in Stone Creek, of like inviting somebody in that process who has no tech background, doesn't necessarily have a passion for it or anything like that, and then they develop the passion. You know, and like that's like so exciting to watch somebody go from like, oh, okay, I'll help out, whatever, to like, I love doing this now. I'm so pumped about this. Like that's incredible.
Yeah. I had that exact experience in one of the church contexts I was at, where I needed help running lights for a funeral. Or something, or Sunday morning. I can't even remember now. And a friend just stepped in with no experience and pitched in and did it. And now he's the technical director at that church and has been there for like 8 years.
So cool.
Oh my gosh.
And had no other
awesome.
production background before that. But it's exactly like what you're saying. You get exposed to it, you help someone out, and then you realize, oh, this is something I'm actually interested in, and it grows over time. So I think we were mentioning earlier about how church is a platform for people to get exposed to a lot of new things. Like, not many places in your life will let you just show up and like mess around with stuff. Get a chance to try this or that, or hands-on, or be given some responsibility with zero expertise. At church, I guess that's what we do. So
name of the game.
Of that, like use that opportunity. It's really a unique thing, and can bear a lot of fruit, whether it's just as a hobby or a community building thing, or actually a like professional skill.
Well, and one of the things that I've thought of often, like I think maybe it's all ministry roles, I don't really know, but in production, I just remember the feeling of like, I can, the amount of time that I'm actually spending on a Sunday morning mixing, right? We got 17 to 21 minutes or something like that, right? Depending on how the service is planned out. But throughout the rest of the week, not outside of the prep and the meetings and all of those things, there's such an amazing opportunity for production staff in a church to be able to develop their own skills on their own during that time. Like there's very few, in any job outside of a church, you think of, okay, we'll send you a conference this year, we'll send you to whatever. But like your week, like you can be spent working on your craft to become better. That you can use both in the church and outside the church. And what an opportunity that is, that I just don't think people take that, up on that offer that much. Or I just think of, man, if I would have worked on some of these other things that I would love to be better at today, like I wish that I would have invested more time in myself to do those things, because I had the time to do them for the most part. And so, the ability to use your time in your church to develop yourself and then call other people alongside to come and do that. Because just like the story that we said, as you guys were introing and a little bit of your background, like somebody asked you like, hey man, can you come back here to front of house and do something? And then that led to a career and a passion for doing those things, and just the story of that and the importance of like asking, because they just might be a data analyst or something like that, or they can be a production director at a cool church. And the skill set and the passions that God puts on our heart to be able to like call out in other people, to invite them along, I think it's just such an awesome thing.
And the thing you mentioned about inviting your friends, like that, I don't think can be overstated. It's one thing to put an advertisement in the bulletin or do an announcement from stage. And some people will respond to that. Hey, the church has a need, I'll step up, right? But there's something different about a personal ask. Hey, I was thinking of you. And I thought you'd be a good fit for this. Not because of your technical skill set, but because of your personality and your culture fit and the way you serve, and like just the energy that you bring.
Because I just want to hang out with you.
And I think you're a great person. I would love to have you be a part of what we're doing. That hits totally differently. And a lot of people that would say no to a onstage announcement would say, I'll give it a try to that kind of invitation.
I think people are way more open to serving like that than we might think they are. I think like for those of us who are like in it, we know like, okay, there's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of, technical knowledge that we got to get behind. And so I think we like build up the ask to be bigger than maybe it actually is. We're like, oh man, if they say yes, they're in for it.
Totally.
And, I think it's just like, set that to the side for a minute. Just ask if like, hey, I've got like, virtual sound check set up. You want to come and see, like, just move some faders around and see what happens? Like, that's
mess
all
it
takes.
up.
Yeah,
I'll
mess
just
it
hit
up.
recall on the other show file.
Yeah.
When you can't get to a good starting
blessing.
point.
My like going way back, but the first time I ever touched a soundboard, I was like the fifth grade annoying homeschooler that wouldn't leave front of house. His mom would just like drop him off and like go hang out. Sound guys like, this kid's back. What's he doing? And I remember like we used to have like a really low key Saturday night service, and one of the weeks the guy was like, "These turn stuff up and down. Don't touch anything up there." It's like, all right, cool,
Don't touch
of course, I
anything up
touched
there.
stuff up there, and there was no recall at the time. It was a big old Mackie analog,
Oh yeah.
But that was like just I think about that too a lot in like, especially if you're struggling to like find people to join your team. Like I think there's a huge window into the next generation being like, hey, they're like, for me, it's so funny because I struggle with this and I feel like such a hypocrite. 'Cause I'm like, dude, that was me, but I'm like, these younger kids who are wanting, and I'm, I'm not a jerk, but I'm like, I don't know, my default is like, hey, we're doing like important stuff here, and I'm like, wait a second, time out. That's not how my posture should be. And actually, like, me being able to do that back in fifth grade led to an entire career path that like I went to college for that. It literally changed the trajectory of my life. And so I'm like, man, there could very well be a middle schooler at my church right now that's the path they're going to jump on, and I can
100%.
either support them in that or like be the one that shuts the door and they wind up doing something else because
I think we underestimate too the amount of support and foundation that you can provide to someone like that to actually allow them to succeed. If you're an experienced audio engineer, you can build a show file. It's pretty dang good.
Yeah, dude.
They can basically just sort of like
man.
push the faders a
just
little bit.
like
It'll
massage
be
it a little
okay.
bit. Yeah, it'll be fine.
And if there's something big, you can talk about that. But you can give them a really good starting point. It's same like if you think about from like a worship team perspective. If you're an MD or something developing musicians, you can give a pretty good starting point when you have a team around a newer person to support them. And you give them a responsibility that's achievable and appropriately sized, and giving them the right amount of pressure for where they're at, and that gives them the appropriate balance of being challenged, but also not being overwhelmed and stressed out with their role.
Yeah.
We can totally do that. You think about a cam op or a lighting person or an audio person. With some coaching and you setting it up, they can win, and then they're excited to come back and do it again. Right?
Because you gave them a win. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think that's the thing, like setting up systems in your team. Like that, I think you had talked about sometimes it seems very intimidating for someone who's not in it. And we talked about this a lot too, but like finding ways in your systems to make it less intimidating. To go, hey, this actually isn't like, I'm not putting the weight of the responsibility of the service going perfectly on you. I'm just going, hey, like Pro Presenter and Camera Ops are like two of my biggest onboarding. I'm like, hey, just come try it for a couple weeks. Come hang out in the control room, watch someone run it, and it
you can hit a space bar too.
Exactly. And so just like I would challenge, like if you don't have a role on your team like that feels like an easy where you can easily give people wins, that should probably be something you focus on, because that's once you find, because you might bring someone in on Pro Presenter, and then I've had the amount of people I've had, our Pro Presenter op sits right next to our video director in the control room, and so a lot of times people come in, they're like, I mean, this is cool, but anybody could do that. What's he doing? Talk to me about that. I'm like, I just got a video director.
Well,
his thing's got more lights on it.
Right. Buttons are way more satisfying.
He never puts the key in, so they don't see my lyrics anyway. So put me in that seat. I think that's so important. The role that exposes people behind the scenes to what is going on, because so many people, if you've never done this before, you have no concept of what the process and the communication and the rhythm that's happening behind the scenes is. So just sitting, like, even if you don't have a role, just if your church has comms, have a spot where you just sit on comm. And all you have to do is listen, and you're like, all this stuff is happening, and I can see how they lead into this, and how they transition this, how they set this up, who is doing what on the team. And I kind of think this would be cool, and so let me try this. But it gives you a window into that sort of behind the curtain space where you can then develop some interest.
Dude, this brings me to something we talked about earlier, but like with just like volunteer culture in general, like let's say you bring someone in like that to watch, and everybody is stressed out of their mind and not having a good time, and people are burnt out. You're like, nobody pay attention right now. I don't. So I think it plays into like finding ways to make sure that your volunteers feel supported and that they're having a good time. Like when people serve, and like talk about this, like at Northlands, we kind of have a hybrid of volunteers and contractors, and kind of how we have that set up is like our goal. Like we would love to be 100% volunteer driven. Like that's kind of the goal, but we also know like not everybody can serve every week, and we we don't want to burn people out. We're not about that, and so. What we do is we ask people, hey, the Bible talks about like a cheerful giver. So like, what are you able to give cheerfully? How many times a month can you go, hey, I would love to serve once a month or twice a month. And some people will go like, dude, I'll serve every week. I have a blast. And you're like, amazing. I'm going to make you take a week off for your own. Because once you get in it, you're going to have a week that makes you want to take a year off, you know? But that's kind of how we measure. And then we go, hey, if everyone gives us their like, hey, I can give this much and we don't have enough, then we're going to supplement with contractor. We go, great. Then we're going to hire someone cover the difference. And we have great contractor relationships around our church in Atlanta, a lot of good relationships. And so that's easy. But that's kind of how we look at it. And the nice thing is then when we're bringing in new volunteers, everybody's having a good time. Vibes are high. There, we've got great coffee, which pro tip, if you have bad coffee, fix that right now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like I think that's really, really important to be like, if you're going to invite someone into your environment, like what is your environment? Is it something people would want to be a part of?
Totally.
And making sure that like there's like some sort of on-ramp that is like not mission critical. I feel like a lot of churches like will go visit and it's like, okay, we have like this team of, 10 people or whatever, and every position is mission critical. It's like, okay, so how do you get someone into that ecosystem?
Yeah.
Like they can shadow, they can do all the things, but it's like, if they're stepping in something that is like the most important thing on a Sunday morning, it's like, that's not necessarily setting them up to win, like we talked about. Like, have something like jumping on comms or whatever, just where they can just be a part of it. And it's not like the most important thing in the world if it doesn't go perfect.
Totally. I think of, the context. Like I don't remember who it was that said this to me, but they were like, oh, well, we just had this big call to action, whether it's from stage or some lobby push that was, hey, sign up for volunteers. And you get these extra 8 volunteers and you're like, what am I supposed to do with them? Because I went through the process. We have our schedule laid out for the next 3 months or so. So where am I going to put these guys? And the coolest part about it is you can make up a position of whatever you want. You want to make an A2 position? This is your A2 position.
You're going to stage manager. Like
100%, dude. And I remember like those were ways for those more intermediate or expert level roles. Like, hey, I'm not going to throw you on audio day one if you have no experience, but like you're going to be this person's number 2 for everything. From anything from, hey, remember there's a key change coming up and change your auto tune to a stage patch or some mic battery's dead and you can stay at front of house and let me go run up and grab that. And it makes them feel like there's importance in what I'm doing. I'm not just here as a body that said, I would love to serve in this area of ministry. But I'm actually like doing something that's helpful. And then there's a weight to the responsibility you have when you're behind that, even if it's in a stage manager position or an A2 or whatever that looks like. You guys had mentioned this earlier too, just like bringing along the next generation of that. Like I was in Dallas this past weekend. I was talking to the video director at this church, and they were just talking about like how I think all of their camera ops now are all like in the middle school and high school ministry, and they're like they're the best cam ops that we've ever had. And I go, it's no different. I think of my kids. I'm like, they grew up and we had iPhones and iPads and all these other things. Like they know it faster than I knew it, and
they're also not like ingrained into habits that don't help them. You know what I mean? Because that's so really hard. Like when you're a junior higher, everything is new and everything is learning, and you're like, oh, you want me to do like this? Sounds great.
Cool. Got it.
You want me to whip pan from the drums to the bass? That sounds
totally normal.
Like totally fine.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. I think, and the other thing too, we're talking about shadowing and apprenticing, things like that. One of the things that is really important to figure out before you lean hard into that is, are the team members that you're shadowing or the team as a whole doing things the way that you want new people to pick up, right?
So true.
Because if they're not, then you're just sort of exposing new people to the things you're trying to change.
Exactly.
So there's no easy fix to that, but it's like if I have a cam op that I can't get on board with the way I'm trying to coach my camera team to operate, just put some thoughtful parameters around how you expose people to things and make sure that it's moving around in the right direction. But the pro of that's hard work. Once you get the team like leveled up to where it needs to be, it makes onboarding new people so easy.
Yes.
Because you just say, hey, like go sit next to anyone and watch what they do. Ask them questions.
Yeah.
And they're going to be, to your point
You
earlier,
trust
they're
them.
going to be serving with a good attitude. They're doing things the way that our team has agreed is like our process and our expectation, our creative direction. And it's amazing how easy it is to train.
Yeah.
People just they just observe and they learn and they're not picking up bad habits, and it's great. But if you're trying to transition a team from a season that needs to end into a season that needs to like kind of be the future, like that's a really hard place to be in, and that makes the volunteer onboarding even trickier. In the midst of that,
For sure.
That's true.
Yeah, we're going, I don't want to put this new volunteer next to my week 3 video director because I'm, just a little spicy sometimes.
Right.
He dissolves every time. I don't understand.
What else is the T-bar
Why do we even have this T-bar?
Like,
He does the Celine Dion framing, where it's like the wide shot, and the face comes in. It's like Andrea Bocelli is doing the solo here.
it's coming back, baby. It's coming
It actually
back.
is.
It is. It totally is coming back.
Everything.
I'm waiting for like the George Lucas like circle wipe thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. Someone's doing it. Someone is doing it.
I know a couple people who've done it.
It's
amazing.
good work. Good work.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think, as we're talking about, what those volunteer teams look like, one of the things that I feel like I have, whether it's through other coaching and stuff like that I've been able to do, of encouraging as your team continues to grow, as you've been in a seat for a long period of time, that team can go from 30 to 40 to 50, 60, whatever that is. And you're like, how the heck, what do I do with all these people? And eventually it becomes to a point where like you as a lone ranger, or even in a large staff, if you have so many people that you can't, manage all of that, to be able to invite those key volunteers into higher level leadership positions in a volunteer to go, hey, awesome video director. I would love you to be my key video director who is scheduling our video team, who is training other people and just inviting them along. And again, it goes back to that, like replacing yourself of a person who is able to do that for you. And I have said so many times here, like church ministry is one of the only jobs in the world that you can have and give all your work away and you're praised for it.
Yeah.
You're like, everybody else is doing all my job for me.
Yeah.
Like, this is fantastic. And they're like, great job. You're an amazing
Yeah.
leader.
Yeah.
And like, we don't always do that, or we feel like we have to do it all ourselves. And just the little ask of that person that helps keep them and those key volunteers feeling like they're in a seat that matters and that like they're actually doing something, especially when they're more seasoned, in that seat. And just like, just more people should do that because it's right there for you and waiting.
Yeah. I feel like it either goes like, it's like one of two ways. Like either like a healthy leader is going to go that route and like be able to call people up into more and like give more leadership away, or you get the leader who is really protective of like the thing that they've built. And like, I've definitely experienced that personally too. Like it just like, it does feel like, you've given your everything to like, creating this, system exactly how you want it. It's like, man, if I let somebody else take it, they might do something weird with it. Like they might mess it up. And like, eventually, you just have to like come to terms with that in like a healthy way, I think, and like lean in more to like, okay, like I can give this away and it's going to be okay. It might be different, but it's going to be okay.
And as a leader, understanding like what are the things that are non-negotiables that you're responsible for holding the line on.
Yeah.
But besides that, there's a lot of wiggle room for different creative ideas or expressions or trying new things. And so if you can kind of figure out, hey, these are the things that for the health and the like consistency that we need as an organization, we can't go outside these boundaries. And so when we kind of push up against them, I'm going to call that out and say, hey, we need to kind of shift this direction. But you'd be amazed how open people are to that correction when on this side of the line, there's so much like sandbox to play in. So it's not that you can't be creative, but our values are defining the creativity.
Yes.
People are fine with that.
Yeah, that's so good.
And they'll respect that. But you have to use that when it counts and not all the time for things that are just preference, that are just things that you like, your little pet peeve. Like, no, you gotta leave that alone.
good.
That's I've said this a bunch, but like, when like somebody else is mixing at Stone Creek, it doesn't sound like me. You know, it's like, even though they're using my template, they're using the systems they've set up, that I've set up, but it doesn't sound exactly like my mix. And for a while I was like, oh, I gotta I gotta get in there and tell them hey, the snare should actually be 2 dB louder than you have it right now. And
everyone knows it should.
Of course. But
snare drum is the most important thing.
It is. There's one thing you take away from a podcast. Snare is the most important.
I mean, we could have a whole conversation around how the snare drum might be the single most defining thing around what modern worship sounds like in churches today. But
the snare drum and a whole bunch of reverb, for better or worse.
How much time we got?
Yeah, right. But eventually I was like, okay, it's within that creative sandbox. It's a few dB here or there. Maybe they run lead vocal a little bit louder, a little bit softer than I do. It's not a bad mix. It's just a little bit different from what I would do. But it's so important to recognize, okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you do have parameters around the mix.
Exactly.
There are going to be things that are you could say are a creative expression that you're going to say, not here.
Yeah.
That's not right for our context.
Yeah.
For whatever reasons.
Yeah.
So do these other things. That's great. But
Yeah.
there are some boundaries that kind of keep us on track as a
Yeah.
group, because it can't sound so different every time.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
it's disorienting.
This actually brings up a fun story I love to tell. This was, I don't know, this is probably 8 or 9 years ago, but a good friend of all of ours, Jeff Sandstrom, he used to mix at a church in Atlanta where I'm from. And they did a 9:15, 11:15 in the morning, and then they did a 4 p.m. service. But it was the exact same service, and there was no additional sound check. There was no additional. So it was and so there's a handful of times where Jeff couldn't do the 4 p.m. So I would come in at 4 p.m. to mix that. And so, obviously Jeff's an incredible engineer. And so I would come in and be like, cool, I'm literally start a service. I wasn't there that morning. I'm just going to turn faders up, start of the service. And it taught me so much about what were my preferences versus what is a good, because you turn it up, it's someone else in me. I'm go,
whoa.
Oh, I have to, and it's no, time out. This is a fantastic mix. They were happy with it all morning. And it just I feel like that season for me was one of the ones I grew the most, because it was shining a light on those things of okay, actually there's a lot of things that I might diagnose as oh, this is wrong, or this is a problem, where I'm going no, this is it's a fantastic mix. And so it just spotlighted the things that were my preferences versus actual problems. And so when it comes to now being flipped, where I'm training up audio guys, is going, hey, now I have a clarity on okay, these things, this is fine. Can you hear the lead vocal?
Yeah.
Yes. Everything else from there, go, hey, we can encourage and go. But when I was learning, if I didn't have the freedom to explore and make maybe even something to make poor decisions, and then learn from hey, here's why that didn't sound great. If I didn't have that, I'm I probably would have quit halfway through. If I had someone going hey, you need to turn your snare drum up 2 dB. Okay, cool, I'll do it. But so giving other people the freedom to kind of learn within those boundaries, I love that. Yeah, I love it.
I think often of when I remember I was freelancing at a church, and it was my first, I think, event that I was doing there. And I was there for rehearsal, and I'm just you're trying to get the lay of the land of where are things, how is this file set up, what things do I need to make sure that I'm aware of. And we got to the end of the service or end of the whatever the event was, and producer leans over and they're like, "That was awesome, so good." I'm all I'm thinking is it was okay, maybe. I think it was fine, but I have no reference for what is good or not. And realizing that, in that context of the sandbox, what are the non-negotiables of the things? I tell other sound guys this all the time. I'm just don't miss the cues when your host is coming up, when your pastor's coming up, when your video. And I'm telling you, all of the other things that you and I are thinking and going, I want the dB a little, or I want the snare, a couple dB more, blah, blah, blah. That guitar is too harsh, whatever. Nobody else is thinking
notices,
that other than us. But they will notice
true.
when you miss the video cue, when the MC walks up and their mic's not on, pastor walks up and their mic's not on, whatever that looks like. And I'm just focus on the transition only.
Yeah.
And all of the rest of the stuff is so subjective, because you're starting on a great baseline of the
Have
file.
your waves tuned in the right key.
Yes,
Yeah, dude. Yes, or key changes in the middle of the song. You're oh my gosh, when am I going to hit it? When am I going to hit it?
Man. Well, so I think you guys have both in your respective careers gone through seasons where you've had to kind of walk through the process we just talked about of giving away leadership, delegating, replacing yourself. So maybe talk about that from a personal perspective. What have you gone? What are some examples of things that you've actually had to face in the recent past? I had to figure out how to give this away. Here's what was hard about it. Here's how I navigated that, or some of the things that worked for me.
Yeah.
So I think that could really be enlightening for people.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think in the process of, specifically with audio, because my background's audio, and so even as production director, like I cared about audio the most, and everything else was like, I mean, it's fine, video's good enough, lighting's good enough, you know. But I think in that, when I really started like moving into like most of our services now, I'm not mixing, I'm producing, and kind of calling cues for the whole team. And so started having a lot of other people mix, and it was a very similar experience to what you talked about, where it's like my knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, I need to fix this. But at the time I was calling in guys, like we were using a lot of audio contractors for front of house, and they're all guys that I know and love and respect. And so having them mix in my room was like very enlightening for me. And it actually made me realize like the fact, on the personal side, the fact that we could have a Sunday where I'm like, dude, this guy came in and like, this is the best mix I've ever heard in this room. Like, it made me realize how easy it is to get your identity wrapped up in what you are doing. And so I think for me, it was like having to kind of decouple, like, yeah, man, if my worth is tied into me doing everything, and people go, oh wow, Matt does everything, like he's such a great, you know, it's like, man, then I'm gonna have a really, really hard time, because then it becomes personal. It's like, yeah, if I don't do that, then what do I bring to the table? And it's like, well, you need to answer that question for yourself, because if you're doing all that, you're going to be the bottleneck for your organization. And 100%. So even like my kind of litmus test is like, anytime I take a vacation, so I was like, great, how smooth does Sunday go? And not just like technically, but like, what's the vibe? Which is again, another pro for having friends on your team, is like, when I'm on vacation, I'm like, I'm going to book my friends so I can get the inside 100%. Story to be like, hey, how was it? And they're like, hey, everything was great, but like this, you know, or like, hey, no, honestly, everyone was super stressed out. This wasn't working. And it's a really good way for me to go, okay, those systems need work, because if they can't work without me in the building, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, design systems that work when you're not there. That's huge. That's huge. It's so funny. Like I resonate so much with that. I think for me, like just top of mind, like, so we're talking about, just recently we hired a production director for our main campus. And so his name's Alex. He's awesome. And I had to give away a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the systems like that I had helped to build. Because that's just like, you know, those things were like not my like direct responsibility. I'm like focused more on audio. And so I'm like, okay, like even though like I've built the Pro Presenter system, I've built the video system, I've built the lighting system, but I've got to hand this off. Yeah. And it is hard. Like it's really hard. You know, to see, you know, somebody come in, do stuff differently, you know, not worse by any means, but just different. And, you know, I think for me, it is hard to like not have your identity wrapped up in that. So yeah, that's something like I've been working on like just recently. And I think I'm good with it for sure. But it's a challenge though. Just to be really vulnerable. Like, it is hard to try to like wrap your brain around like, okay, like this is gonna be different from how I did it, like how I spent time and like effort putting this thing together, and that's okay. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be better even. But yeah, I think there's something that's very freeing about that, to be able to let go and like hold it more open-handed. Like I feel like I've had to like change my mentality going into Sunday of like, from like, all right, I'm gonna take care of all this. It's gonna be great, and like, you know, but it lives and dies by like my leadership. And even though it's like it's great to be a good leader and to be able to lead a team yourself, like it's even better to come alongside somebody else and lead it with somebody. And that's a big learning curve, but I think it's a really healthy one.
I think what you said there about it being freeing and like lightening your load. I think leaders don't, until you walk through that personal journey of actually giving that up and laying those things down, you don't realize until you look back how much better it is. Because you just get into this, like, you're used to leading a certain way, bearing a certain amount of responsibility. And you think like, that's what you do. You know, like this is on me. I'm responsible for this, right? And it's only when you come through the other side and you look back like, wow, now I see what it can be like and how it is better and how I do carry less stress or whatever. You know, I have more freedom. I have leaders that are able to step into their sweet spot as well. So I don't know if people are listening and they're going through that. If you've never had to go through that process, it's hard to explain where you get to on the other side. But it's, you know, it's worth leaning into and figuring out what that looks like for you, because it's a place that opens possibilities. I guess that's I think the benefit of why it's worth doing it. It opens possibilities, whether it's you stepping into a different role or a different season, or just continuing to lead, but in a place that is making space for other people to also have leadership opportunities.
Yeah.
Like the outcome of that process will look different for everyone as far as what their next season is.
Sure.
But it opens your possibilities of things that you'll never even have the chance to consider if you don't go through that journey.
Yeah.
Yep,
And I think there's like a hard, this has been hard for me to wrestle with. But I think there's a degree of like, and don't hear what I'm not saying, everything we do matters, but there's this degree of like, it sometimes I don't know that it matters as much as we think it does. And in the,
100%.
say if I like zoom way out, like kingdom perspective, I go, hey, like audio in a service is important. Like it very much is. But if it's like the analogy I've used with my team at Northlands is like, it's almost like when you're going to a party and someone's like, hey, would you bring drinks? And you're like, cool. Like the responsibility of like hosting the party is not on you. You have your one thing to bring, and you're like, cool. I'm gonna show up with some red Solo cups and some sodas and like whatever, and I'm gonna bring my piece. And I have very much painted that picture for our team of like, hey, this is what you're doing on a Sunday morning. Like if God is the host, like God is putting something together, he's bringing on, he's like, hey, would you do this? Would you do that? We're all bringing our piece. And it's like, if you're feeling like you're one piece, like everything rides on you. I'm like, one, that's not true. It's like, no offense, but you are not that important. You're bringing the drinks.
Yeah.
And like, if you don't do that, it's like, it's not the end of the world, something, but like it creates this desire to be like, man, well, if I'm in charge of the drinks, then I want to get the good stuff. I want to bring, and so it's not like, oh, nothing matters, so I don't care, but it should create this like, man, within my lane, what I'm bringing to this party, like I want to do it well. And it just like takes the weight of that responsibility of like almost taking yourself too seriously off. And I think the fear is like, well, if I tell people that, then no one's going to care. Like, and I'm like, no, it actually does. It does the opposite. Where I go, hey, actually, if this is the one thing I get to contribute, then I want to do it really well. I want to do the best I can.
Well, it frames it as an invitation and not an obligation. It's like, I want to view this as something I'm excited to do, and I'm invited to participate because people value my contribution versus a burden that I actually, like if you didn't want to bring the drinks, you just say, hey, I don't want to bring the drinks. I don't want to bring the drinks. Like that's fine. If you need to defer, like that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to bring the drinks, like it should be out of like a place of joy and excitement and creativity or whatever.
I want to contribute.
I think about that for the whole, we were talking earlier about volunteer team and culture and whatever. It's like creating a place that feels invitational and not burdensome. I mean, it'll go further than anything else in getting the best out of your team, because when people are excited to be there, they put in effort, they try to learn new things, they're open to feedback. Like just everything elevates when the culture is good and people are excited and they feel like they're invited into something and not guilted into like having to do something they don't want to do.
Yeah. It unlocks creativity too. I think like to your like drinks analogy, it's like, okay, if I understand my lane, I understand my piece of what I'm like bringing to this party. I'm going to like go over and above. It's like if I'm in charge of everything, I'm going to do like what I need to do to get by. And that's kind of like, that's going to be my capacity. But if I like understand where I'm being called into, then like, okay, suddenly I've got more margin to like, I'm going to bring some creative drinks, whatever it is. And I feel like that's the exact same thing you experience on a good production team.
Yeah, that's really good. That's true. One of the things that you guys were saying I want to hit on is as you're in those leadership seats and as you are hiring a new person on your team, right? Like I think so much training and development, coaching that happens in this circle, maybe in ministry in general, is when you start at a new job and making sure you're not changing things too quickly. Like we talk a lot about those early stages in your ministry. But then as we all have gotten older and then hired people to replace us, full-time staff people, part-time staff people, whatever, and you're giving those things away, it's hard to also have to watch sometimes a quality dip for a period of time, knowing that, again, same kind of context of like, you may be the only one that notices that, and maybe you're not, but the ability to like allow people to fail and do it in a way that is innovative because just like you did and somebody gave it to you and go, hey, go figure it out. And just the challenge, like as we as leaders get older and more seasoned in our seats, to know it's okay to be able to do that. And I was thinking of this, I watched some Simon Sinek video. I don't know if it was a TED Talk or whatever it was, but just him talking about this of like hiring people on your staff and like as you're giving things away and not trying to be like, oh my gosh, I just want to reach over and just go like this because I don't like that. Because at the end of the day, like nobody wants a boss or a leader above them that's just like hovering and micromanaging and watching everything or critiquing every single piece of it. And so I just think it goes back to what you were saying, Caleb, of like sticking to what are the fundamental things that are so crucial to our success, laying that out for everybody to hear and go, here are the non-negotiables of what we do on a weekend. And it can be anything to, and every church is going to be different about what that looks like. But then going, here's your sandbox. There's a lot of room to play in, and there's lots of fun toys to play with in the sandbox. And use that because you will become a better leader, and you will raise better leaders below you. That just like that guy at that church for you, like is now the person and the production director there.
Yeah, and they're gonna think about things that you didn't even think of. Like they're gonna try stuff that you wouldn't have tried because it wasn't like the right way that you have implemented. But they'll try something. You go, oh. Wait a minute, I never would have thought of that, and it's better.
Yes.
Like, cool. Yes. That's part of the process now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. No, that's good.
So many things. I was thinking to, creating the sandbox. You guys ever have the thing where, the different worship background packs come out from different creators? And you're just like, this is the fall one. This is the new one. You grab them, you drop them in. And then you get to church and you're like, I hate that background. Why did they pick that? I hate that background. I hate that background. So I was at a point where I was like, all right, if there's a background in ProPresenter or in Resolume or whatever you're using, it's like the way, because I found myself in a season where I was always having to go and correct. Like, hey, that doesn't look good. We need to change it. And it's like, I hate that. Like, I don't want, like someone's creating something and I don't want to always be having to correct. Like, I want them to feel free. So I realized I'm failing them because I'm not providing clarity. So I went through and I cleaned out the entire library.
Wow.
And I said, if there's a graphic in here, it's okay. So when my programmer comes into program, they can just use whatever they think is cool. If it's in the library, it's good. It's fair
good.
Game. And then I don't have to come to them all the time and be like, hey, I don't like that, or that's too crazy, or that green shade is like not good. Like, I don't like that. Like that's all gone because I did some work to define the boundaries before, and now they can have a great time at it. It's not a weird, awkward thing.
That's one less thing on your mind on a Sunday morning when you're in go mode.
Right. And I think it helps us to like define those targets too. Like I think so often we're like we're aiming for moving targets, right? And it's like if we actually sit down, like, and probably a lot of us have like never really done that. Of like, okay, like what do I from audio perspective, like, okay, what's like the dB level we're running at? Like, what's kind of the ratio of like bass to everything else? And just like kind of like defining some of those like key like KPIs and stuff that's like we're gonna hit these.
Yeah, and that season we had like even for lighting, like we had sort of a brand color palette. Like that sounds like overly limiting.
No,
in brand world, that means you have a limited number of. But it was like, hey, here's the kinds of things we do. Here's the kinds of things we don't do. So that you can just again go in and win without having to always wondering, is this okay? Is this okay? No one wants to be in this whole thing of like, is what I'm doing okay?
Yes.
Like that's just not a creative space to be.
No. And as leaders, like it kind of sucks to come in and like have to be like, okay, wait, don't do that. Why? I can't really tell you because I haven't thought about it myself. I just know I know that's not right, but like I don't know why. And like once you can like define those things, you'd be like, hey, okay, so not that because this, and this. But like, let me show you what we can do.
Well, and like another callback, Simon Sinek, like I love the whole start with why concept where it's like people are going to buy in because of the why. So even before you get to the what and the how, it's like, hey, here's why any of this matters. Here's why we even care what background's on the screen. Here's why we care what it sounds like. It's really important.
Here's why we even use a background in the first place.
Which my solution, we don't do background.
We don't.
I mean, that's much easier. It is much easier.
All right. Well, I have one last question I'm thinking of. We talked a ton about culture and team building and leadership and volunteers and whatnot, but you guys are, you guys do audio. So what's like one cool audio technical thing or trick or skill that you have, personally uncovered or been working on or been trying that's been successful? We got to leave one audio tip.
We do. I know. And now I'm like going through the million in my head.
I know, right? Yeah. Pick the best one.
Yeah, for real. Need a second. I'm trying to think of what. Well, it's weird. I don't mix as often these days, but I did mix front of house for the first time in a couple months, like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think back. If you got something, go with it.
I mean, okay, I'll say I've got a couple that just popped in my brain. I think people struggle with source tones so much, and they don't even know it. Like they're, it's like you're kind of locked back in the tech booth, and like you're like, okay, I will fix all the things, and it's like, hey, sometimes you got to tune your snare, you know, and change a drum head, or talk to the guitarist about like their tone, it's like there's only so much you can do at the console. Like we live in an age where it's like we can do more than ever. But we often don't have to, because we can just go talk to the person or like help someone do something that's going to make their tone better in the first place. So I think, just like nailing your source tone, like it all starts there, and like it'll make your job so much easier. It'll allow you to have so much more fun with what you're doing. Let's see, what was another one I was thinking of?
Well, with that, it means you have to actually know what good tone sounds like. Also so you have to, as an engineer, be a student of some of these more musical elements in order to give helpful feedback to the band. So, maybe.
Honestly, that's another one. Just like listen to a ton of music. Like if you're stuck in like one particular sound, and it's like, okay, like I want everything to sound like, this one album that I really, really like. And it's like, okay, like that's cool, but there's a lot more out there, and there's a lot more stuff that like might be even more applicable to your situation that you need to like reference and learn from, and kind of like catalog all these different sounds and styles and ways that a mix can fit together. And I think like that's so overlooked. Like people get too focused on like achieving one sound.
Go to shows.
Go to shows,
man. Listen to a great killer band in a genre that maybe you love or don't love. It doesn't matter. Like you will pick up on things. You're like, dang. I haven't thought about doing that, or that guitar is just like exactly what I want on Sunday morning. And
and go talk to the front of house guy afterwards.
Yes, go talk to
them.
They're
usually pretty nice. Not all of us, but most of us.
No, they really. I actually think they're more nice often than some of the church front of house.
Here's the other thing you'll realize is that
wrong.
those engineers that are on mid-sized venue shows, you'll go to front of house and you'll be like, what? They're using that console?
Oh yeah,
dude.
They're using what? I've been trying to get a 338 at my church, and my church doesn't sound half as good as that.
Exactly.
You can do a lot with an M32.
It's
true, if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Dude, okay. Funny little aside on that. So I went to go see Colony House when they came through Atlanta. They're at a venue called the Eastern. And I was like kind of scoping out front of house, looking around, and they had like this really nice Avid desk back there. I was like, oh, sweet. Okay. Like I like posted a picture of it. And I was like, Colony House, like mix on this sweet Avid SXL. And then Michael Lewis, who actually mixed, he's like, actually, look past that. It's the tiny little like 8-channel or like 8 fader D Live or 60 fader D Live. He's like, that's actually mine. I was like, oh man, that's not what I thought.
I was at a show where it was sort of like festival style, but it was still one night. But there was like 6 bands playing. And there was a 338, and there was an S6L, and there was all this stuff. And the band that sounded, no lie, the best was X32.
I believe
it. The best.
I believe it.
Yep, I love that. There's so much you can do. It's year over year every single time.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
All right. Takes.
Dude.
I got.
Tips and tricks.
Tips or tricks. Wow. Tips or tricks.
Okay. I don't know how nerdy we want it. This came to mind because we literally were just talking about this, and I think you try, or we're going to try it. But like talking about COVID, like post COVID, we all like everyone's live streaming. Obviously, who wasn't before is now, and getting a good live stream mix with limited volunteers is tough. Our live stream is fed from front of house. One of the things that I do is I set up a compressor on my room mics. So obviously, like live stream mix, you want to hear the room, you want to make it. So it's always like, and we don't have a dedicated operator, so I'm always trying to like get the right balance of room mics. And so I ended up just like setting up a compressor that is like sidechain to my drum group actually. So like basically when drums are going ham, it's like turning my room mics down like 20 dB. So it's like I don't hear them a ton. But as soon as drums crash out, there's like a 2-second. So it just sounds like someone's like riding the fader in the, and that's like, I was like, cool, now my room mics are like glued in place all the time. I'm happy.
So
that was
smart.
a fun little like, what if I just, like, oh, hey, that worked. Cool. You know?
That's good.
Everybody needs, it sounds so good. Like, it sounds
That's the
incredible.
kind of trick that people come to Worship Sound Guy for.
There you
That's
go.
really
Come
good. That's good.
No, that is good. I need to try. Like, I'm just thinking, like, oh, how much time do I have on Sunday morning? Because I'm mixing this weekend. I'm
Come
like,
on, dude. Do it.
I can do that in 10 minutes. That sounds good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Also, shorten your reverbs.
Oh, yes.
Throw that in for free.
Yes.
I think both of us have been on this mission of like, how short can we go?
Yeah.
So what is short for you?
Like a second.
That's pretty short.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
like shorter than you think.
Because I go, I'm
shorter.
2.4. That sounds pretty short to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, go shorter. Yeah,
It's like, go shorter
second
than
and a
what you
half,
think.
second. Yeah, even on live stream, like to me, it just sounds better. There's so much more clarity in the mix.
Yeah.
It's like not all getting like washed out.
And
by
if it
loads
feels
of
too
reverb.
short, crank your pre-delay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It gives you like your
Yeah.
Well, if people want more ideas like this to play
Yes.
with on their next virtual sound check or rehearsal, whatever,
Yeah, dude.
talk to us a little bit about the kinds of things. Obviously, they can follow your account, so maybe
Yeah.
talk about that. But then, what are the other things you guys are doing for resources and opportunities to connect and training and things like that?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, at Worship Sound Guy on everything pretty much. We're most active on Instagram, Facebook. Everything gets posted everywhere these days, you know. Same on YouTube. But yes, we offer a lot of online courses. That's kind of been like our bread and butter for going on 10 years
10
now.
years.
So yeah, we have all kinds of online courses that take you through like various aspects of mixing, specific consoles, specific concepts, that kind of thing. So we just recently launched this brand new platform called Worship Sound Guy Central. And that's where all of our courses, all of our templates, all of our resources, like everything lives in one place now. And the biggest like component of that, the biggest like kind of new thing is a community space. So when you join that, you get to network with, the hundreds and hundreds of other audio engineers from around the world, which is mind-boggling to me. That's like where we're
awesome.
at. But yeah, so you can all come together, talk with each other, learn from each other, post mixes, get reviews on your live stream or whatever, and get access to all those courses. And like we do like monthly workshops on that space. So yeah, Worship Sound Guy Central. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It's
man.
great. It's a blast in there,
Yeah, it's
honestly.
really
Like
fun.
I love hearing from people and it's great. There's a ton of like in there we have all of our if you're a member on Central, like we have a ton of console presets, which one of our good friends, Drew, texted us recently. Their church has got a new Avantis, was getting it, and he was like, "Hey, do you guys have like a starting show file?" And we do. We're like, "Yeah, dude, go grab it from Central." Downloaded it, and he used that for like the starting point for all it. And he was like, "Dude, the amount of feed, like it sounded great. We like volunteers were like this, the way it was laid out made sense." So it's just like obviously like you can't. Like presets are never perfect, but if you just need a starting point, if you're like, hey, something is going to be better than what I got. Like we have them for most consoles in there now, where you can just load it up and try something new. And if you hate it, unload it. You know? Like
Recall
we're not offended.
Yeah. Well, it's just like it's getting you a head start on the couple hours of prep of just laying out the console the way that you want it to, or for the most part, hey, here's a set of groups, here's whatever else to at least get you started, and then tweak it from there. I think it's so.
At least like all your routing is gonna be right and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the cool thing is we also now have Teams access available. So you only have to get like one subscription for everybody on your team.
Yeah, train your
so
whole
if
team.
you've got a big team that you want to get on there, you can get them all on board.
That's
really
awesome,
easy.
man. That's so cool and so needed, and just like making engineers better, man. Like that's all I think any of us want, and the ability to share knowledge and resources, because it for the most part it's an open book of anybody from the best producers in the world that are doing it and posting mixes on YouTube in the studio and what they're doing to their sidechain vocals and all that stuff, and to me mixing at a 300-person church on an X32 and going, hey, how do I make this the best I possibly can with the resources and tools that I have available at my disposal,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you're mixing on some portable speakers or with X32 in a small venue, it can sound amazing.
It really can.
Yeah,
There's
can.
nothing holding
you
you
back.
Yeah, dude.
It just takes a little bit of work.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, and so I want to do a quick promo for the Mixcom in Dallas. So maybe you guys don't know about this. So a couple of years ago, some buddies of ours at Harvest Bible Chapel here in Chicagoland were like, hey, we're doing this mix comp internally for our team. So it was basically, hey, we're all mixing on the same console in the same campus. The file has been basically wiped other than routing and labels and stuff like that. You have 50 minutes to come in at some point ahead of time, but in the middle of the day, to prep on the file and get it to the place where you feel like, hey, this is the closest that I could do in the 50 minutes that I have of my interpretation of this mix. And then 3 or 4 other guys will come through. And then at night, we'll have a dinner, and then we just go and listen, and then just talk about what we heard, what we liked, what we didn't like, give helpful criticism and feedback to those engineers. It's definitely a little nerve-wracking standing up there. It's kind of like taking off all your clothes and standing in front of the console and going, okay, well, let's see what you guys think. And so we've been doing that for a couple of years now in Chicagoland. And recently we just did one here at our office using a portable system and did that in a fake, hey, I'm a mobile church, and set up tear down environment.
Love it.
Fast, and so much of this also comes down to, because of us being audio guys in a church, we walk up to the same drum kit every week and the same guitars for the most part, the house bass.
Easy, man.
Yeah.
We have it really, really easy. And that's the difference, honestly, between so many great audio engineers in a church to go, hey, but could you replicate this if you go into a 2,500 seat venue tomorrow and carry all this gear in and load it up and set it up in X amount of time, and
50
X amount
minutes
of hours.
if you're lucky.
And that's it. And that's it.
real.
And it's exactly right. Because
Yeah.
how often are we stretching ourselves to start fresh and do that? So anyways, it's been really awesome and successful here in Chicagoland. And so on May 21st, which is a Thursday night in Dallas at the Hills Church, the North Richland Hills campus, we're going to be hosting our first mixed comp outside of the Chicagoland area. So if you're listening and from the Dallas area, would love to show up, please be there. It will be very, very fun. Lots of great engineers that are scheduled to come out and mix on a great L Acoustics L2 PA that we just put in.
I feel like we might need to come out for that.
You totally
It's
should.
fun.
100%.
We had a couple people fly in for the last mixed comp in Chicago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
hey,
go.
if you want to come to Dallas and you're not in Dallas, you're welcome to.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Totally free. All you got to do is register. You can go to ampliosystems.com/events, and the link is somewhere in there, and you can register. But very, very fun event. You guys should totally come, because it would be very, very fun. And just hopefully the ability to build community like we feel like we have in Chicagoland, and bring in other church production people together, because how often, just like we've said in this conversation, like, I'm 5 minutes down the street from this big church and I don't even know any of the guys over there. And so an opportunity to meet and hang out and just connect, and then do some fun, mixing and playing on consoles and stuff like that. And it's just, it's a really, really fun thing that we, I don't think any of us thought that it would have turned out to be kind of what it is today a couple of years ago when we partnered with those guys at Harvest. So we're excited for that. So would love to have you if you were listening in Dallas area. Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for being here.
Thank
hanging,
y'all.
having
So
this
fun.
conversation, man. I think it's so good. I love what you guys are doing. And it's always nice to be able to bring in some other like-minded individuals that care deeply about the local church, and training up the next generation of leaders to take it to better places than we can. So thanks for doing that and coming out, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Well, man, for those of you listening, we'll see you guys all next time, and we're excited for what's coming up. We'll see you guys all later.